own one pair of sneakers, I have one set of bed sheets, exactly one water bottle, one purse, one activewear set, one jacket, almost like it's becoming a competition to see who can own less, who can become the underconsumption final boss. And you're gonna make a bunch of cutesy TikTok videos out of it because it's the cool new thing to do right now, and it's gonna get you a lot of views and a lot of praise and a lot of recognition for how relatable and down to earth you are. Well, I've got a news flash for you. In some cases, these creators lie. I know, shocker. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Influencer Insanity, and today we're discussing the underconsumption core trend on TikTok. TikTok lives to see another day here in the US, so that means we can carry on covering and discussing all of the ridiculousness that happens over there. And today's video is kind of a sister video to my last Influencer Insanity episode all about overconsumption. The volume and rate at which people are buying things they don't actually need and don't actually use and then posting about it online is out of control. Everywhere you turn on TikTok, you're seeing people showing off their grotesque hordes of physical possessions, usually in terms of things like makeup, skincare, and body care. And it's just gross at this point. It's giving people the ick. It's like, okay, we get it. You have money. We don't need to see your $4,000 Sephora hauls or your 30 moisturizers. It's not healthy. It's not making me feel good about myself to watch this, so I'm going to choose to consume something else. What alternative is out there that I can be looking at instead? So what do we do when one trend is on its way out? We create a new trend to replace it. And thus, underconsumption core was born. This is sort of the answer or the counter trend to the overconsumption thing that we're seeing on TikTok so much. And the name is sort of a tongue-in-cheek play on the term blank core that we see on TikTok a lot in reference to social media trends. There's the warm and cozy cottage core, there's pink Barbie core, there's the mob wife aesthetic, coquette core, which is all lace and ribbons. And all of these refer to a type of aesthetic, a look, a style, a way of living. So it's kind of silly because underconsumption core isn't necessarily aesthetic or pretty to look at. It's not romanticized in the same way that these other trends are, but the name is in reference to those who live simply, minimally, sustainably, and who do not agree with or give in to the ideas of overconsumption. The idea behind underconsumption is that you live with less, you use what you already own, you take care of your possessions and you use them until they're no longer functional, you're intentional with your spending, and you don't make unnecessary and frivolous purchases. You own what you can use and you use what you own, essentially. I will say that there's a lot of things about the underconsumption trend that I love and that I agree with, but there's also some things that I find problematic. So we're going to talk about it from all different angles because I don't think that this is the perfect solution to overconsumption necessarily. In some ways, I think the pendulum has swung too far in the opposite direction and we've overcorrected into a new trend that has its own problems and its own pitfalls. There's a huge all or nothing attitude that goes along with this trend that I think can be a pretty harmful mentality to have. Like if you're not living with the absolute bare minimum, then you're not doing enough or you're not doing underconsumption right. And I'm hoping that throughout this video, we can explore somewhat of a happy medium where you're not over-consuming way more than you could ever possibly use, but you're also not pressuring yourself to underconsume to a point that is impractical. You're just consuming responsibly and mindfully in a way that works well for you and for your lifestyle. For example, something that I choose to budget for that makes my life easier and that works with my toddler mom work from home lifestyle right now is the convenience of a grocery delivery service. I've recently discovered Hungry Root, which is something that I personally pay for and that my family loves. They have a loyal customer in me. We've had a great experience with them, which is why I am very excited that they're sponsoring today's video. If you've not heard of Hungry Root by now, listen up because this is the coolest thing. Hungry Root is like a meal kit, pre-made meal, and grocery delivery service all in one, and you get to customize it to your needs every week. Let's say that this upcoming week you're looking for some new quick and easy dinner ideas to add to your rotation. You can choose from Hungry Root's massive collection of recipes, and they'll send you all the individual ingredients and the instructions on how to prepare that meal, just like a meal kit. And let's say the following week you have things going on in the evenings, you're a bit busier, you don't have time to cook dinner. Hungry Root offers a selection of pre-made meals as well. You just heat them up and enjoy. There's no prep or cooking involved. And maybe the week after that, you're already set, you've got your own recipes you want to make, but you're missing a couple ingredients. You can shop Hungry Root's grocery selection to fill in the gaps, or you can get snacks or drinks or desserts. The way I personally use it is I do a combination of all of these things. Each week I'll pick out 1 or 2 dinner recipes where they send me all the ingredients and I cook it myself. My husband will get a couple pre-made options to take to work for lunch, and then we'll get a variety of snacks for ourselves and for our toddler, as well as some sweet treats. The joy I get from customizing my cart each week and picking out my groceries is unmatched. I have way too much fun with it, but they also have what's called a smart cart. So it's going to pre-fill your cart with personalized recommendations, and you can choose to keep them or swap them out. But those recommendations become more and more tailored to your preferences every week as it learns what you liked and what you didn't care for. You can even customize it for your dietary restrictions or your health goals like gluten-free, dairy-free, high protein, low sugar, and more. Hungryroot is one of those things where you don't know what you're missing until you try it for yourself and then you're hooked. That's exactly what happened to me, which is why I'm so excited that for a limited time, they're offering my viewers 40% off their first box plus a free item in every box for life. I've recently been getting the almond chickpea cookie dough, but you have several options to choose from and you can switch it up week to week. You can get that offer by clicking the link below or go to hungryroot.com and use code Hannah. Again, that's 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life at hungryroot.com with code Hannah. Thanks again, Hungryroot, for your support of the channel. As I mentioned before, the topic of underconsumption is a multifaceted and imperfect one. It has its flaws and there's many different angles that you can look at this and lots of different things I'm thinking about as I'm watching this TikTok content. So I tried to organize my thoughts into different segments, and the first thing I want to dive into is how wasteful this trend can be. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, this is a trend all about buying and consuming less. How can that possibly be wasteful? Here's what I mean by that. Here's an influencer scooping a bunch of what appear to be perfectly good makeup products into a bucket and then dumping the whole thing into the trash. The text on this video says, POV, underconsumption core is the new maximalism. And she's throwing away things like completely full bottles of foundation, compacts that don't appear to be damaged or well used, even a makeup brush that looks perfectly functional, you just have to clean it. This is not underconsumption, this is decluttering, which is fine. Decluttering does have a time and a place. In the case of makeup, maybe it's expired, maybe it's oxidized, maybe you haven't used it in years but it's not hygienic to donate it, then yeah, throwing it in the trash is kind of the only option. If it's not serving you anymore, then I do think it's reasonable to get rid of it. However, throwing away perfectly good makeup kind of defeats the purpose of underconsumption. The mission of the underconsumption trend is to use what you have before you buy more, not just throwing away everything you have so that you own less. If we're assuming that the makeup was still functional and this was a matter of underconsumption, she would just wash that makeup brush and use all of these products until they're empty before she buys more. Trashing your perfectly good belongings is not underconsumption, it's just wasteful. Similarly, this one says realizing you don't need a lot of makeup, and it's the same thing, somebody dumping an entire bin of makeup products into the trash. The text on this video makes it seem like, oh, I just woke up one day and I realized that I don't need this much stuff, so I might as well throw it out. And while I agree that you're right, you probably don't need to own this much, you already own it. The damage has already been done. You've already spent money on it, you've already acquired it, so you might as well use it. These kinds of videos confirm to me that maybe people are just trying to participate in the trend without fully understanding it. Like, oh, okay, overconsumption is out, underconsumption is in. I guess it's time to trash all of my belongings and follow along and make a cute video out of it. Like, no, that's not what this is about at all. At this point, you're just being wasteful. Unless, of course, it's old, expired stuff that has to go anyway, but I think some people are taking this idea of underconsumption a little too far. Like, oh, okay, the hot new thing right now is to live with less, so I'm just gonna get rid of all of my stuff. We're overcorrecting to the point where we're just purging things for the sake of purging them, and that's missing the point entirely. Here's a few examples of people taking it too far in a potentially gross and unhygienic way. This video says underconsumption core. Some of these might be controversial. First up is her shower essentials, and it's just one bar of soap. Wearing the same shoes until they fall apart. Face wash that's African black soap. This one says, I feel like this one is a no-brainer, and it's a menstrual cup in a little baggie. The toothbrush my husband and I share. Hold on a minute. Foul. Foul. The same hair tie that I've used for over a year, and this is all of the makeup I own. This is taking it to the extreme for me personally. Some of these I'm totally on board with. Others, I'm like, there is no excuse for that. Obviously, the toothbrush thing is a huge issue. Look, I love that you're trying to live with less and not overconsume, but I think you get a free pass when it comes to toothbrushes. I think it's all right if you and your husband get your own. No one's gonna judge you for being a two-toothbrush household, okay? She made it seem like the only thing in her shower was a bar of soap, so that makes me feel like maybe she doesn't own shampoo, and not owning shampoo or not washing your hair does feel a little unhygienic to me. Maybe she does wash her hair with the bar soap, but that also doesn't feel great because of the residue that it leaves. I feel like it would make your hair more greasy and weigh it down. I understand I'm making a lot of assumptions based on this one little clip. There might be more to the picture that she's not showing us, but if she doesn't own shampoo, it's like, okay, why? Are you worried about the cost? Are you worried that it's wasteful? Do you just feel like you genuinely don't don't need it. But with something like shampoo, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can get a bottle of shampoo for like $10. It'll last you 2 to 3 months. It doesn't have to be a huge expense in your life. It doesn't have to be one of the first things that you cut out of your life when you're trying to live with less. That's what I'm trying to say. Same thing with the one hair tie thing, okay? Hair ties are very inexpensive. There's really no reason that you need to be babysitting and keeping tabs on this one hair tie for over a year, okay? Did you ever see that show on TLC called Extreme Cheapskates? I saw this episode where this guy would reuse his dental floss. There was another guy that would reuse his bath water to clean his dishes. I feel like we're creeping into that kind of territory now with the underconsumption thing. There comes a point where it starts to get gross and it's not really necessary. There are other ways to cut corners. There's other things to eliminate in your life. I promise you can practice sustainability and frugality and still own shampoo, hair ties, and a toothbrush. It doesn't have to be this extreme. This video says, my sister is the final boss of underconsumption and using what you have. And it's showing a bunch of different makeup products that are clearly very, very, very well used, and some of them are near empty. I can get on board with all of this until the makeup sponge situation. Sister, that is mold. That is a moldy, bacteria-ridden sponge, and she's gotta go, okay? This is a health hazard at this point. Take that baby and toss it in the trash. You have my permission. Buy yourself a new one for $6 and clean it regularly to extend its lifespan, but this one, straight to the dump. Bye-bye. Same thing with these false eyelashes. As somebody who was a competitive dancer in high school and in college, I wore false lashes multiple times a week for 8 years straight. And I still wear them now when I'm filming videos, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that these are far past their prime. I think pretty much anyone could tell that with just one glance at these. If you take really good care of your lashes and you pick off the lash glue with tweezers in between each wear, you can easily reuse them like 8 to 10 times in my experience. But these ones right here, they've got so many layers of dried, crusty glue. I just know that there are bacteria having a heyday on there. There is no way that your eyes are not itching and watery as soon as you put these on, okay? You've got to retire them, get some new ones. And this is what I'm talking about as far as hygiene goes. I love that for you, that you use every last bit of your makeup before you buy more. That's what underconsumption is all about. However, don't get crazy with it and recognize when it's okay and sometimes necessary to replace things. You deserve to have a clean, mold-free sponge and fresh lashes. You can still be mindful of your spending and not engage in overconsumption, and also take care of yourself and practice good hygiene. This example is not as gross, but there's still some extreme things about it. It says, underconsumption core, an old iPhone 12 I'm not upgrading just because. Most of my makeup is depotted from old palettes. Simple skincare, 1 in, 1 out rule. A broken mirror that I found in the trash. I've had it for 7+ years and I still use it every day. No bed frame, it just seemed unnecessary. My only beach towel, I got it for kindergarten graduation. Propagating plants to keep them multiplying without buying more. And blank walls, decorating slow and secondhand instead of running to fill the space with whatever is trendy at Target. So a lot of this I actually love. Don't upgrade your phone just because, okay? The new updates aren't that great anyway. Don't run out and buy home decor just because it's trendy. Curate things that you actually love and that are meaningful. Using all of your skincare products before you buy more, the 1 in, 1 out rule. All of that is great. Where she starts to lose me is the broken mirror that she found in the trash and the mattress on the floor. Let's start with the mirror. There's a reason that the mirror was in the trash. It was broken. There's a big crack right through the center of it. It served its purpose for somebody else. It became damaged and then it ended up in the trash. Is that unfortunate? Yes, it always hurts a little bit when you throw something away. At least it does for me. But I also believe that it's not our responsibility to go dumpster diving to salvage things that might be past their prime. I'm not saying that she literally went dumpster diving for this, but you get the point. I know there's people out there that are super like, save the planet, reduce waste, use everything until you absolutely can't use it anymore. And I completely understand that. I think there's a time and place for that, definitely. And so what I'm about to say might bother you, but I do not believe that one man's damaged trash has to become another man's treasure. Sometimes it's just trash and it's okay if it stays in the trash. This is kind of where the all or nothing attitude comes in, because I think people can get really extreme with it and be like, no, I'm not throwing away anything ever. I'm just gonna hold on to it because I don't want to be wasteful. What if I need it in the future? And I'm just here to tell you that you don't have to be so hard on yourself for things like that. You can get a new mirror like this without a crack in it for like 20 to 30 bucks, and you can take great care of it and use it for decades to come. You don't have to live with the compromised functionality of something just to feel like you're saving it from the trash. In the same way that, like, let's say you have a t-shirt that you've worn so much that it has holes in it. It's okay to discard it and replace it with a new t-shirt that doesn't have holes in it. That t-shirt fulfilled its duty. It was well loved, it was well used, it has met the end of its functional life. It's okay to let it go. That's just my opinion. I realize not everybody will agree. I realize they'll probably tell me how much they don't agree in the comments below. And in the case of the mattress on the floor, she said that she didn't bother getting a bed frame because she didn't really see the point. But people were pointing out in the comments that having a bed frame actually serves a really important purpose to promote airflow. If your mattress is flat on the ground, there's more potential for moisture to collect and for dust mites to live. This could lead to mold issues and damage and potentially decreasing the lifespan of your mattress, which would be counterproductive to the mission of underconsumption. If you're the kind of person that's concerned about reducing waste and rescuing broken mirrors from the garbage, then you probably don't want to be taking an entire mattress to the dump years before you would have had to otherwise if you had just gotten a bed frame to take care of the mattress. By purchasing a frame, you're actually extending your mattress's life and you're able to use it for longer. A common theme I'm seeing with this trend is that these creators are taking the underconsumption thing almost to a minimalism level, owning exactly what you need, nothing more, nothing less. I own one pair of sneakers, I have one set of bed sheets, exactly one water bottle, one purse, one activewear set, one jacket, almost like it's becoming a competition to see who can own less, who can become the underconsumption final boss. Taking it to this extreme and in my opinion unrealistic level is a downfall of this trend. Here's my hot take. Sometimes it's okay to own more than you need for the sake of convenience or joy. Of course, I will always advocate that you be mindful about your purchases and not just buy things to buy things, okay? Really get to the root of why you want to purchase this thing. Do you want it because it's trendy, because it feels good to spend money and you get a dopamine rush, because you're bored, because you're feeling bad about yourself, because you've had a bad day, or because you really need it, or because it adds some kind of value to your life? I think there are plenty of examples of things that you don't need, but they could absolutely still be justified purchases because they add value to your life by way of convenience or by joy. Here's a couple personal examples. I've brought some exhibits, okay? I have 4 of the exact same lip balm. 4 of them. Do I need 4 of the exact same lip balm? Of course I don't. Nobody does. I suppose somebody could argue that I don't even need 1 of them. However, I use these multiple times a day. This is the kind that I love. I've been using it for years. I have used up several of them. This one's almost out, and I've repurchased them multiple times. And the reason I have 4 is because I keep one in my car, in my purse, in my desk drawer, and my bedside table. It's for convenience. I absolutely could just own one of these and I could carry it around with me all the time and I could babysit it, but that is a mental cost that I am incurring. Where's my lip balm? Where did I set it down? Where did I leave it last? I'm gonna leave the house soon. I gotta remember to go get the lip balm. Crap, I forgot my lip balm. It's exhausting. I don't wanna live like that. It's worth the extra $15 for me to buy 3 extra lip balms to keep in all of my most used places so that I don't have to spend the mental energy keeping tabs on my one and only. The 3 extra lip balms add value to my life. They add convenience. I feel like those purchases were completely justified for me personally. What would not be justified for me is if I had 4 different lip glosses that are all a similar shade and they all just sit in my makeup drawer and I use them like once in a blue moon. And most of the time they sit in that makeup drawer unused, untouched. But then today I'm gonna go to Sephora and I'm gonna buy another lip gloss just because it's really pretty and I want to and it's an impulse buy. Buying a 5th lip gloss for no other reason than it's fun to buy, even when I don't use the 4 I already have, that is overconsumption. That is the behavior we're trying to avoid. Another example is my activewear. You might be surprised to know that I own 5 pairs of the exact same bike shorts. Here they are. They're the same brand, they're the same size. I have 5 of them. To you, that might seem frivolous and silly and like I'm over-consuming. Why the hell do you have 5 pairs of the same shorts? But for me and my lifestyle, I work from home, I wear activewear most days, I work out most days of the week, and I live in Florida where the seasons are hot and hotter. So when I'm getting dressed in the morning, I'm looking for something comfortable, breathable, lightweight. I can wear it at home, I can wear it out on a quick errand, I can wear it during a workout. Bingo, bike shorts. They're the best. I wear them almost every single day. What am I wearing out of frame in every single video that you see? Bike shorts. This is what I've found that works for me. I bought my first pair 5 years ago. I love them so much I bought a second pair, but then I was wearing them almost every day, and so that meant I was doing laundry every 2 days. That wasn't practical for my lifestyle. The laundry loads weren't even full, which felt like a waste of water and energy. So then I bought another pair, and then a couple years later I had a baby and I was doing laundry even less frequently, so I bought a couple more pairs. Boom, that's how I've accumulated 5 pairs of the same shorts in the past 5 years. I'm at the point now I don't need any more. I will reasonably reasonably use the number of pairs I have. I will do a reasonable amount of laundry for my lifestyle. This is the magic number of bike shorts that feels appropriate and convenient for me, but that might not be the case for you, and that's okay. You may have never even owned a pair of bike shorts. You see no use for them whatsoever, or you might own some and they're just sitting in your dresser drawer never getting worn, and you should probably donate them. The point is, what works well for one person might not work well for the next person. And in the case of the underconsumption trend, there's almost a slight undertone of judgment behind it. Well, I only have one hair tie, one set of bed sheets, one jacket. And if that's truly genuinely what works best for them, more power to them. But it almost feels like it's becoming a competition of who can own less. And you're only doing underconsumption right if you own the absolute minimum number of things. And I worry that the consequence of this is that viewers are going to watch the underconsumption core content. They're going to feel bad about how much they own. They're going to feel pressured to get rid of a bunch of stuff to participate in this hot new trend. This is what we're doing now as a society. We're getting rid of everything. And they might donate or trash a bunch of stuff that they like, want, or need just to participate in this trend. It's sort of like how seeing overconsumption videos where people have 30 moisturizers makes you feel bad for not having enough. Same phenomenon here. Oh, you only have one moisturizer? Oh crap, I have two. Is that too many? Should I get rid of one? I kind of fell victim to this in 2019 with the Marie Kondo craze of only keeping things that spark joy and nothing else. I'm sure there were a lot of little trinkets and things that I would have loved to have kept or found useful later on, but I got rid of them because it was the cool new thing to do at the time. I was reading her book and I was watching her Netflix show and I'm like, yeah, this is the way to do it. But guess what? That second set of bed sheets might not spark joy necessarily, but you're really going to be happy you had it when your kid wets the bed in the middle of the night, or you spill something, but you don't want to have to immediately strip and wash the sheets before you can go to bed. It's okay. You have my permission to own more than you need if it's a matter of convenience. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there has to be a balance. There's got to be some middle ground between having floor-to-ceiling shelves full of skincare and using a moldy makeup sponge. Which brings us to the next facet of this discussion, which is, what if this whole underconsumption trend is just normal life? What if we didn't swing so far as to be owning less than we actually need or is comfortable, and we start normalizing an average, appropriate level of consumption? What if what we're calling underconsumption is actually just consumption? Thankfully, there's a lot of examples of this on TikTok as well that are really refreshing to see, although I do believe they're mislabeled as being underconsumption when they're actually just normal consumption. This video, for example, is showcasing things like driving the same car for 10 years, owning a moderate amount of makeup, only one pair of designer sunglasses, one pair of workout sneakers at a time, using the same perfume and hair oil for the past 2 years, and this is just normal consumption, I fear. Your average everyday person is not getting a brand new car every few years. They're driving their cars into the ground, as they should. And the average everyday person is also using up all of their beauty product before they buy more. That's just normal living. It's not a trend. But we've kind of put this label on it, like, oh, this is the underconsumption core trend. No, it's not. It's just normal life. And actually, I love that she mentioned having one pair of designer sunglasses too, because I've seen some examples of people getting really extreme with this trend, and they're saying things like, I only wear secondhand clothes, I recycle all of my food scraps, I only drink my water out of old pasta sauce jars. And you know what? That's fine and dandy, but you don't have to do those things to still be intentional and to still consume things responsibly. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I know I keep reiterating that. Sometimes responsible spending means that you're saving up for that more expensive item that you really, really want, and it's gonna bring you joy, and you're so excited to buy it. You're saving up, you're practicing delayed gratification, and then once you acquire that thing, you love it, you care for it, you hold on to it, you use it for years to come. I'm of the belief that you can own a designer item or two and you can spend that fun money on yourself occasionally, and that still is classified as responsible consumption. There's a difference between owning one pair of designer sunglasses that you use every single day and having 10 designer sunglasses on display in your closet. They never get touched, never get used, but you're on your way to buy another pair. Here's another example titled Underconsumption Core in My Apartment Kitchen, and the examples given here are the 4 water bottles that my husband and I share, 2 for home, 2 for travel, cutting boards that we've had forever that are still perfectly functional, spices still in their original bottle or container. All of the wall decor was gifted or less than $10, and it's my favorite part of our kitchen. Tons of hand-me-down or free utensils. My non-aesthetically pleasing fridge still filled with delicious and nourishing food. All our magnets were either free or handmade. Free and old cookbooks containing the best recipes, the only food cabinet we have, and our scratched up dining room table that's had at least 3 previous owners. I can relate to most things in this video. This looks like my kitchen. This looks like the kitchen of pretty much everybody I know. Only on social media do we see perfect, aesthetic, organized, color-coded labels labeled kitchens, okay? That's not real life. So again, this video is not underconsumption. This is just normal consumption, but it looks like underconsumption when compared to the overconsumption we see on social media. How many times can I say all of those words in this video? Some people are even making underconsumption core content about their daily routines rather than their possessions. And here's what I mean by that. This one says underconsumption core, having breakfast at home, having coffee at home, spending some time reading, having an early dinner with the goal to be to finish all the leftovers, and then journaling and enjoying the sunset at the free local park to end the day. And these are the examples that are kind of the funniest to me because it's so obvious that people are misunderstanding and misusing the term underconsumption. At this point, it's like, what does that even mean? What does that term mean now? What are we even talking about? Define what you think underconsumption is. Because what you just showed us is everyday life. Eating the food you have at home, making coffee at home, reading, journaling, going to a park. We have lost the plot so significantly that now we're thinking that this is underconsumption. It's not. It's just normal. This is how most people live. I think maybe a more appropriate title for this kind of video would be like a no spend day or a no buy day, just to highlight the fact that this is what a day in your life looks like when you're not spending money. You can get through a whole day without ordering something, without going shopping, without spending your money. But again, as if I have not reiterated this enough, you're just showing us the thing that should be the norm. It's not normal to spend money every single day. You're supposed to eat the groceries you have at home. You're supposed to use all of your moisturizer before you buy a new one. You should not be buying a new outfit for every single event. You shouldn't be buying more books when you haven't even read the ones on your shelf. But TikTok has rotted our brains so significantly that we don't even know what's normal anymore. I think I've beaten that point into the ground. I know you get it. So let's move on to another thing I was thinking about as far as this trend goes. Underconsumption core can also be seen as a trend that glamorizes something that many people don't have a choice about. Here's a sample of some of the types of comments you'll see on these videos. This one says, so underconsumption is the new term for, how do you say, broke? I think this underconsumption trend is really just us poors out here trying to survive. My underconsumption core is just poverty, and I'm not underconsumpting, I'm just poor. Underconsumpting is hilarious. I love that. Many people wear the same clothes for years. They repair something when it breaks. They use every last bit of a hygiene product before they buy more because they can't afford not to. So it's kind of like the sentiment around the entire trend is really nice, but we have to acknowledge that even having a choice on if you're going to participate in this trend or not is a privilege. If you are able to choose between keeping the phone you have or upgrading to a new one or buying a new perfume when you already have one, that is a privilege that most people don't have. Most of us are by default participating in the underconsumption trend because we don't have a choice. Hang with me for this analogy, okay? I promise it's going somewhere. It's kind of like if you were to see a celebrity at the grocery store doing their own grocery shopping. A lot of us would tend to think, oh my gosh, they're so down to earth. They're so relatable. They're just like the rest of us. But the more you think about it, it's like, wait a minute, grocery shopping, that's just a very normal, average human experience. Why are we impressed with that celebrity for doing that? Just because a celebrity is doing their own grocery shopping does not mean that they deserve recognition and praise for doing so. They're just doing what the rest of us have to do all the time. We don't have a choice. We can't afford personal chefs and private assistants, okay? We have to do that grocery shopping ourselves every week. So it's kind of like because of your privilege and your status, you somehow deserve praise and recognition for doing something that the rest of us have to do all the time because we have no choice. If we look at it through that same lens, then I think that these underconsumption core videos can maybe ride that line of being a little insensitive at times, because it could be received by the viewer on the other end of that phone as like, oh, my everyday reality is just a hot new trend for you. I don't have a choice in the way that I'm living because of my tight finances, but you do get to choose. And right now you are choosing to jump on the bandwagon of this new trend. And you're going to make a bunch of cutesy TikTok videos out of it because it's the cool new thing to do right now. And it's going to get you a lot of views and a lot of praise and a lot of recognition for how relatable and down to earth you are. Well, I've got a news flash for you. In some cases, these creators lie. I know, shocker. They make 1 or 2 TikTok videos about how they're super into this cool new thing, underconsumption. But then if you go and look at the rest of their account, you're like, wait a minute, you're not really into this at all. It's not a lifestyle you've adopted. This is something that you have staged for a video because you know it's gonna perform well. You know that it's gonna get you likes and views and recognition. Take this for example. Remember earlier I showed you a few clips of this creator who claims to only have one bag, one perfume, one pair of shoes, one gym set, and so on? Well, towards the end of that clip, she makes the point of saying how she only uses 2 different body care items, 2 skincare items, and she only has one each of mascara, blush, foundation, and powder. And that in itself isn't that extreme or unbelievable, like a couple skincare products, handful of makeup products. I would say that's pretty normal. But then if you go poking around on her account, you'll see that a couple weeks later, she posted this video titled Media Cube Haul, and she's showing off like 4 or 5 different skincare products that she just bought. If you keep scrolling, you'll find this video titled My $374 Makeup Routine, which is obviously a stark contrast to the earlier video about underconsumption where she claimed to only have 4 makeup products. In that video, she claimed to own 1 blush, but here you'll see that she's using 2 entirely different blushes than the one she showed in her underconsumption video. If you scroll even further, you'll find this $900 Black Friday Sephora haul video, where she is doing the exact kind of content that was featured in my last episode of Influencer Insanity all about overconsumption. The underconsumption video of hers was falsified. It was a lie. And in my opinion, she created that video for views, which worked because look at this. Her underconsumption video where she used the hashtag underconsumption, it got her 2.3 million views, which is above and beyond anything else she's ever posted on this account. Her videos usually get in like the 10 to 20,000 view range. She lied for views. That's how I feel. Same goes for this influencer too. Remember earlier I showed you a video of somebody throwing out a bunch of what appeared to be perfectly good makeup saying that underconsumption is the new maximalism. Well, if you go to her page, you're gonna find Sephora hauls where she's showing you 18 new makeup and beauty products she bought. You'll also find what she calls her monthly favorites videos where she's flashing product after product at the screen and telling you how much she loves them and how you need them too. Hashtag link in bio, you know? She's not actually living out the ideals of underconsumption. She just staged a video to hit the algorithm. And just like the last girl, it worked for her too. Her underconsumption video got her significantly more views than she usually gets. In fact, the only other video on this frame of screenshots that got a similar number of views was this one of her unboxing a designer bag, and she set it up in such a way of like, oh, I don't even know what's in here. Unbox it with me together and find out what designer bag I ordered. So that tells you everything you need to know. She's not about underconsumption at all. And you know, when I went back to watch her underconsumption video with fresh eyes, knowing that this isn't actually something she does, I noticed that she threw everything away into an empty trash can with a clean trash bag in it. And then she waved goodbye to it with her hand covered in tens of thousands of dollars of designer gold jewelry. So my assumption, based on the context clues, is that she didn't throw away any of this at all. She likely dug all of that perfectly good makeup out of the clean trash can, and the video itself was staged for views. To wrap this up, my final thoughts are that I think this underconsumption core trend has a lot of benefits to it. While I do think the trend has been mislabeled, I don't think calling it underconsumption is appropriate because it's just normal consumption. I think it's great, and I think it's a really refreshing movement to see a bunch of normal, average, everyday people taking videos of what their normal, average, everyday homes look like to bring us back down to reality and to combat the barrage of gross overconsumption and overspending that is pushed on us by influencers. And shame on these bigger influencers for faking their underconsumption just to get views. There's always gotta be someone that ruins it, right? But I think generally speaking, if you search up this trend on TikTok, what you're gonna find are people that look and live just like you do. I showed you a lot of the extreme examples in this video, but more often than not, you're gonna see your own possessions and your own spending habits reflected in the majority of these underconsumption videos. And it's so validating and empowering to see that. Because a lot of times I think that we fall into this trap of leaving the app feeling worse about ourselves because all we're seeing are people that are richer and seemingly happier than us. And it can feel like everyone, in air quotes, is living a better life than us, but that's not a true depiction of reality. In fact, these big influencers with outrageous spending habits, they're the minority. But that's the content we see all the time because that's what the algorithm favors, because that's what gets the most views. So I love that the underconsumption trend has sort of stolen back some of that spotlight and served to remind us what real life actually looks like. With that being said, don't take it too far. Don't be wasteful, don't be unhygienic, and don't pressure yourself into making this an all or nothing thing. Progress over perfection. You can still value living with less and being mindful about your spending while also finding the balance that is right for you. And with that, my friends, it's everything I have for you for another episode of Influencer Insanity. I'm really looking forward to seeing your comments below because I have a feeling that not everyone's going to agree with me on all these points, and that's totally cool. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of discussion discussion to be had, so I'll see you in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in my next one real soon.